The battlefield of Arcturus Prime had gone silent, but not from peace. It was the silence of exhaustion, of two armies too depleted to continue their ancient hatred. Smoke curled from shattered war machines, and the acrid smell of plasma burns hung heavy in the air. Lena crouched behind the twisted remains of a dropship, her rifle clutched against her chest. She was the last of her reconnaissance unit, the only human for 50 kilometers in any direction. The Galactic Coalition had sent them to observe, not to fight, but war had a way of consuming everyone in its path. A sound pierced the eerie quiet. High-pitched, desperate, unmistakably young, Lena's head snapped toward the source. Across the scorched no-man's land, near a collapsed bunker, she saw movement. Her combat visor zoomed in and her breath caught. Cubs, 2 of them. They were Vrellan, the apex predator species that had terrorized this sector for generations. Even as juveniles, they stood nearly as tall as Lena, their obsidian scales glinting dully in the smoky light. Their 6 eyes were wide with terror, and they huddled over a third form, an adult Vrellan, unmoving, half-buried in rubble. The cubs cried again, a sound that transcended species. It was the universal language of children who had lost everything. Lena's tactical training screamed at her to stay hidden. The Vrellan were enemies of humanity. They had glassed 3 human colonies. They fought without mercy, without honor. Every instinct told her to remain still, to let nature take its course. But those were children crying. She was halfway across the battlefield before her conscious mind caught up with her body. The cubs saw her coming and recoiled, their natural weapons, retractable claws and venomous spines, extending defensively. They hissed, placing themselves between Lena and their fallen parent. Even in their grief and fear, their predatory instincts remained sharp. Lena stopped 10 meters away and did something no soldier in their right mind would do. She set down her rifle. "Easy," she said softly, raising her empty hands. "I'm not here to hurt you." The cubs didn't understand her words, but they understood the gesture. Their hissing quieted to uncertain growls. Lena took a slow step forward, then another. She began to hum, an old lullaby her mother had sung to her, a melody that had survived Earth's wars and followed humanity to the stars. The tune was simple, rising and falling like gentle waves. The effect was immediate. The cubs' defensive postures softened. Their spines retracted slightly. One of them tilted its head, 6 eyes blinking in confusion. Lena knelt in the ash and continued humming, letting the melody fill the space between them. Slowly, cautiously, she extended one hand, palm up. The smaller cub took a tentative step toward her. "That's it," Lena whispered. "I've got you." A shadow fell across them. Lena's head jerked up. A Vrellan warrior stood at the edge of the rubble field, his armor scorched and dented, a plasma lance leveled at her chest. But it was his rank insignia that made her blood run cold. A war caller, one of their elite commanders. Kyle. She recognized him from intelligence briefings. He had personally led the assault on New Havana, where 15,000 humans had died. He was a legend among the Vrellan, a warrior poet who composed death hymns before battle. And she was completely unarmed, kneeling before his offspring. Kyle's weapon didn't waver, but he didn't fire. His eyes, all 6 of them, moved from Lena to the cubs to the fallen Vrellan beneath the rubble, then back to Lena. For a long moment, nothing moved. The battlefield held its breath. Then Lena did something that defied all military logic. She turned her back on the war caller and resumed humming, extending her hand further toward the cubs. The smaller one closed the distance and pressed its scaled forehead against her palm. Lena heard the distinctive click of a plasma lance powering down. Footsteps crunched through ash and debris. Kale moved past her, his massive form blocking out the dim light. He knelt beside the rubble and began digging with his clawed hands, carefully extracting the fallen Vrellan. His mate, Lena realized. The cubs rushed to their mother, chittering urgently. The adult's eyes flickered open and a weak rumble emerged from her throat. Kyle looked at Lena then, really looked at her. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding stone filtered through a translator on his armor. "You are the soft ones, the weak mammals. This is what we were taught." He paused, one massive hand resting on his mate's shoulder. "We were told you would kill children without hesitation. That you knew no honor, no compassion." Lena met his gaze steadily. "We were told the same about you." Kale's mandibles clicked. a Vreln expression that could mean many things. But when he lifted his plasma lance, it was to hand it to Lena, grip first. "My ancestors will curse me for this," he said, "but I have seen truth today that contradicts 1,000 years of lies." He activated his armor's emergency beacon, a signal that would bring medical evacuation for his family, but would also reveal his position to any Vreln forces in the area. "It was a significant risk. Why?" Lena asked, gesturing to the beacon. "Because you gave me back my world," Cal replied, gathering his cubs close. "Not the planet. My world, my family. There is no victory greater than this." As the evacuation craft descended through the smoke, Cale fixed Lena with an intense stare. "The war will not end today, human. Perhaps not in our lifetimes. But I will tell this story. I will sing it until my voice fails and my scales turn to dust. And perhaps one day others will hear it and understand what I learned in this broken place. That our children's cries sound the same, and that compassion is not weakness." He paused at the craft's ramp. "Is family safely aboard? You have a name, human?" "Lena. Lena," he repeated, as if committing it to memory. "When the histories are written of this war, they will say it was won by weapons and strategy. But I will remember the day it truly ended, when a voice stilled the battlefield and reminded us we were all capable of hearing it." The craft lifted away, leaving Lena alone in the ruins. She retrieved her rifle and began the long walk back to coalition lines. Above her, the first stars emerged through the clearing smoke, watching silently as a human soldier carried forward the most dangerous weapon of all, hope.